Welcome, Rhys Li, to this new Mindset Masterclass we have this month.
Yes, hello Yara. Yes, this masterclass is a good masterclass, I would think. Especially we're in the middle of the year, so it's a good time to check in and maybe see there's areas that you want to improve. So yeah.
I think yes, because one thing is like you mentioned before, taking all the goals we set at the beginning of the year, and if we are ready with our routines and with our habits to reach these goals. So what is the difference between habits and routines?
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like going back to our first masterclass of the year, which was on setting goals. So you set your goals, and how well did you achieve it, or did you achieve any? Maybe it's because of your habits. So what I want to talk about is creating a habit, and eventually that'll lead to your routine. So what's the difference? Routine is basically, I would say it's like you cannot have routine until you create that habit, right? So it's like eating a healthy diet, right? Until you create that habit, you can set your routine and say, okay, I'm gonna eat healthy every day, for lunch, and you set your lunchtime at exactly 12 every day. So that would be a routine, having your lunch every day at 12. But to get to that point, you need to have that habit of saying or telling yourself and doing, okay, I'm gonna, one, eat healthy. So you need healthy choices. And two, you really need to say, okay, it's 12 o'clock, create that habit and say, okay, it's time for a break from whatever you're doing, from work or whatever, and then have your healthy lunch. So that initial start is your habit, and then a set of habits creates that routine. So then now you have a routine to eat healthy every day at 12 o'clock for lunch.
Mm-hmm. But this masterclass was coming because the previous masterclass of procrastination and consistency. And then we figured out like one of the key parts is to have habits and to change the habits we are doing, like consciously or unconsciously, but they are not helping us to reach our goals. So that's why the relationship with goals.
Yeah.
So how we can change this, how we can change, or how we recognize, okay, I have this procrastination here, I am not doing this. What is the habit behind, like I have to change? So how you do this, please?
Yes, it is exactly. So from our last masterclass, we talked about like if you procrastinate, it's usually driven by emotions. So you really need to dig deep and say, okay, how come you're not creating, having this habit of yours? Is there something that maybe sometimes you feel not fear, but sometimes we just feel like, oh yeah, no, I'll take care of it later, blah blah blah. So then you really need to check into your emotions and say, okay, what were you feeling at that moment, and what did you want to feel? So there's a gap between what you're feeling and what you want to feel. Usually that gap is where we don't recognize or we're not aware about. And that usually would derail us. So identifying that gap, I think, will help you create or eliminate that bad habit of, let's say, procrastinating, or a habit of just doing something that you don't normally would like to do. Identifying that gap would probably help you to eliminate that, and then start implementing new habits and start implementing new goals. So I think in that sense of like how to get rid of it, it's still really emotion driven. Anything we do is all emotion driven. Like even in our personal life, like if we eat something, you want to eat it because it makes you feel better, right? Because again, it's that feeling. You want to speak to someone because that someone makes you feel better. At work, you want to speak to your boss, you want to speak to your colleague, or you want to do certain things. Why? Because it gives you that sense of satisfaction, and that sense of satisfaction is really feeding your emotions. So it's all, again, emotion driven. So once you identify that gap of that emotions, I think it will help you eliminate what you don't want, like a bad habit.
And then we have to make this kind of positive emotion for this change, to the new habit.
Exactly. Like, let's say, do you have a bad habit that you're trying to get rid of? I don't know. Let's say you have a bad habit of
Full list of
sorry.
I have a full list of things I want to change.
Me too. I have a list of bad habits. Like, let's just say I have a bad habit of I mean, I'm just speaking out here, like a habit of, like, whenever I get stressed, this is all based on my colleagues. When I get stressed, I have a habit of smoking, let's say. And how do you break smoking? And that is a very common issue. People trying to, stop smoking. That's a bad habit. So how do people do it? What they've done is probably, like, replace that emotion, replace something to give you the same emotion or same satisfaction of you smoking. So this is a very, very simple example. So most of the time when you go to these smoking cessation programs, they will, most of the time they'll probably say, okay, what do you feel? How do you feel? Blah, blah, blah. It's all, again, emotions. And then if that's the satisfaction, that's the emotions you want to feel, what else can you do to get you there? So that's one way of looking at, okay, how to get rid of bad habits and how to replace it with good habits. So that's one step as well.
Yeah, and I think since we are doing this monthly mindset masterclasses, I start recognizing all of these patterns. So I think it was very helpful as well to do this as a group, with the Collabwith members, because you are learning as well from each other. Exactly. And I remember for me, it was like getting super nervous or tense or something, and then eat chocolate or whatever eat. And then, like, we had all this nutrition, master classes as well, the link between productivity, mind, and our guts and what we eat. And then someone was saying about music. So now I am working more with music, instead of chocolate.
But you get the same satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the part of putting a funny, emotion, like feeling good, to something, like to be able to calm and process, this kind of, at the end it's fear, like this kind of uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, exactly. And emotion is really what drives us in a way, because we are all humans. I think in the animal kingdom, we are pretty complex when it comes to emotions. So if you really want to change something, if you really want to understand something, really creating an awareness for yourself is by understanding what is driving you, what emotion is driving you, what emotion would you like to have, what emotions would you like to get rid of. So it's really all that driving force. So if you get to the core of the problem, is most likely emotions, because again, we are very complex animals in the the animal kingdom as humans. So we are all emotionally driven.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rhys. So when is the masterclass? So the masterclass is how to create new habits?
Yes, how to create new habits this Friday, the 17th.
At 12 noon CIT. And it's only for premium members of Collabwith. So you have to have a premium membership or organization membership or ecosystem membership. And then you get all these masterclasses every week.
Exactly. So tune in and learn how to create new habits if you haven't done so yet.
Thank you very much, Rhys.
Thank you, Yara.
Bye.
Bye.